Like they did with Vix in Deep Space Nine. I just don't know why. But I think it all stems from this what if idea that we get these episodes.
Maybe, but I also think that Star Trek tries to do a good job of telling you your preconceived notions don't define everyone else's life. So our preconceived notion of what a family looks like or is not necessarily the only thing that can be family. You have no problem seeing Data as completely human, right? Not human, but equal to and just as good as, if not better than. So why not see holographic life forms in the same way? Especially when the Doctor is a holographic life form in one of these. I mean, it's so obvious that they're hitting you in the head with this one that just because he's not an actual humanoid doesn't mean he's not humanoid rights. I don't even know how to explain that. Like, he doesn't have all the rights and feelings and everything else of a humanoid. Just because he's not what your idea of a humanoid is doesn't mean he's not the same as or equal to what your idea is. And I think that's where a lot of this comes from. And I think in the last one, the very last one, not chronologically, but the way they actually aired, that's where Star Trek makes a hard left and all of a sudden determines that the hologram, the fake families are in fact fake. I think in every other iteration, the fake families were every bit as real as my daughter playing in her tent outside this room right now. And in the last one, it goes, well, you're going to have to leave because she needs medical help and they're not real. So let's go. And they leave. In every other version, they tell you that they're just as real as your family is to the viewer. They're just as real as the family of the viewer who's watching right now. Which is very weird to me. It's weird to me that Star Trek would take that stance.
It's nice. It's refreshing.
Maybe, but it doesn't track with everything else they've ever told me about anything.
Yeah, that's why Oasis is unique. They each are unique in their own way.
No, I get it. I understand that, but I'm just saying it just doesn't track with the general philosophy of Star Trek. Mm-hmm. Not that that's the worst thing in the world either, because I know people are now screaming that I'm an idiot or something right now listening, but it just doesn't track with the rest of. It just doesn't track with the rest of everything they've ever told me about the topic.
Yeah,
we see in Voyager where they're using the Doctor, his model, to be slaves basically, and we're led to believe that this is considered horrific because they're beings and they shouldn't be treated that way. And then the next series, they're telling us, "No, you got to leave these fake beings."
So let's get to final thoughts and sort of wrap this episode up. I do have just a quick couple of things that I wanted to talk math-wise about TNG Survivors. It was interesting because they did the coordinates 37 north, 62 east, and I looked that up on Google Earth, and that is in Turkmenistan.
Okay.
Just had to laugh at that. But it was really cool because they talked about an acceleration curve when the Kevin Uxbridge created that ship that was chasing the Enterprise D. And then the Enterprise D would go faster, and then so that ship also followed. And they said, well, we have to get ahead of the acceleration curve. And that just made my math heart happy. So, final thoughts for this. It's interesting to see that they wanted to create these fake families because of some kind of loss, right? Loss that they didn't know. In the Doctor's case, didn't know what a family was. He was missing out. Rurigan with his entire colony. Kevin with losing his wife, and Ezra losing his crew of the ship, was created out of loss. And even in TNG Survivors, when Kevin was explaining, it's like, we have this house, we have a plot of land, we have each other. And I wrote in my notes, is that the only thing we need? If we have those who we love around us, is that the only thing we need? And I like the idea of these episodes, but again, I can't get rid of the fact that they are fake. They are an illusion. They are not real. And it may be that I can't distinguish between fake and reality. Like you say, Data, I could say that he's real. Is that because I can touch and feel him? With Rurigan and Shadowplay, once they go beyond the technology, they are no longer real. So are they real within that? There's a lot of questions here, but in my mind, if you're programmed, I don't even want to say it, but if you're programmed,
there's no answer you can give. There's no answer you can give that justifies you're okay with Data.
I know exactly, right? It's maybe I need more time and experience. But as of right now, I'm saying it's fake, and I don't even think that I could live with a fake family.
So it's interesting because every excuse you were about to give,
I could hear it.
Completely knocks Data out of the box.
I know. I could hear it in my mind, and I'm like, oh, I can't say that way.
I saw it cross your face as you went, they're programmed. Oh, man, Data's programmed.
Yeah, I know.
They don't breathe. Well, man, Data doesn't breathe. Like,
yep.
Oh, I felt bad for you there. I don't know. Maybe it's just, I said I wouldn't create a fake family, but again, it's because I have one now. And if they died, I wouldn't want to put myself through that again, for one. I wouldn't want to have to put myself in a position where I had to go through that heartbreaking horror again down the line someday. Now, if I was in that situation where I did lose them, maybe all of this changes. I'm not in that situation. I said I wouldn't go back and get my father back if it meant I lost everything I have today. But maybe I don't remember what I have today, and then it doesn't matter. I just go back and get him back. But I'm sure there are people on this planet that would tell you that they would absolutely do that. I can tell you, without naming any names, I was on a cruise once where somebody had lost, they had miscarriages a few times, and they could not have children. They just were told they were never going to be able to have them. So they had dolls, and that was their children, and they treated them as such. They brought them on the cruise. They brought them to dinner. They brought them onto the islands, and to them, they were every bit as real. I mean, she said, she goes, I know I'm not crazy. I don't think it's a real living baby. But as far as I'm concerned, it takes the emotional place of a baby for me.
Interesting.
So that's helped her. She was weird for way other reasons. Like, there was other things that made her not a bad person. It was a weird person. But we're Star Trek fans. A lot of people think we're weird.
Yeah.
For a lot of reasons. You know what I mean? But that was, I mean, she suffered a great loss, and she found a way to cope with it without hurting other people. I don't see any problem with that. Another thing is, too, I think as we get farther into technology, more people will be more accepting of things like holographic families. And now I know people are screaming. But the fact is some generations grew up with no video games and others grew up with nothing but. And it's not a far leap from living inside a video game for a couple of hours a day for a couple months to just living inside a video game. It's not that far of a leap. And technologically wise, mentally, yeah, of course it would be for some people. And for others it wouldn't because, hey, Tron's cool to them. They think the idea of Tron is a great idea. And others don't. But I think it's a case-by-case scenario. And I think we're nowhere near the technology to do it, so we won't have to worry about giving rights to holograms yet. But it is weird to me that the last of these, the Enterprise one, deems them fake. Because it seems like in every other iteration of Star Trek, we're fighting for them to have regular rights. And I get it. They were probably stand-ins for other cultures and races and things like that. They weren't really holograms in a lot of those places. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not talking about these episodes specifically. But, you know, like the Doctor and Data are minorities. They're not androids and holograms. They're stand-ins for minorities and how they should have exactly the same rights as everyone else. But you can't beat me over the head with that forever and then just go, well, now I want you to think of them only as holograms, not all the other stuff we told you they were. So it annoys me a little. It doesn't ruin the episode either. And if we weren't talking about this at length, it wouldn't even come up. But we are talking about it at length, so that little thing annoys me. The Doctor going back and crying about his daughter dying, but not being that upset about losing his wife and other son bothers me about that episode. And that bothers me whether we were talking about it at length or not. So that's a real negative for that episode for me. But overall, I think they're all really good. I think they're all really well done. I get lost in the Voyager one early on. When I come back, it's kind of like, he didn't even care about losing his wife. So it's not a terrible episode. It's just not an episode for me.
All right. So. Yeah. Well, this was really fun and very interesting to see 4 awesome episodes talking us about sort of the same idea. So,
yeah.
Well, please join us on our Facebook page at UFP Earth, where we would love to hear what you think about this episode. So, Pat, where can people find you when you are creating a fake family?
Oh, well, that would be here on the network. Yeah, I have you. I have Tribs.
Yeah.
There's a guy named Brandon that comes around
he's
once
the
in a while.
stepchild.
Yeah. And he sits in for me without even letting me know what's happening. But that shows how much he likes me. Anyway, Brandon. He did say he wants less Pat. He got it. So anyway. No, you can find me here on the network with my good friend Chris Tribuzio, also known as Tribs, over on Magic Marvels. Mickey's Marvels. I'm Magic on Mickey's Marvels. You can find me on Twitch and Twitter under Magic Drop 5. And you can find me on the Facebook page, where if you comment on the episode, I will get back to you. So, Amy, where can people find you when you're not trying to justify androidic life, but not holographic life?
Yeah, when I'm not doing that, and I won't be doing that for a long time, you can find me over on Trek FM, where I host Earl Grey. You can find me on Twitter at Miss Amy Nelson. And, of course, you can find me right here on UFP Earth Facebook group page. So please go to iTunes and leave us a star rating and written review. That will help others to find our show. And let us know what you'd like for us to discuss. We are very open to your ideas.
At this time, we'd like to thank our executive producers who make this all possible. They are Brandon-Shea, the one, the only. Ken Tripp, Zach Moore, and Tony Robinson.
Thank you for listening, and we hope you'll join us as we search out all good things.
This has been a production of MTMR Media Works.